You ever get a letter that feels like it's just begging for trouble? That was me standing in my kitchen coffee halfway to my lips staring at this cartoon sunshine HOA letter that might as well have been radioactive. Big smiley house on top, but dead center on the page there it was. All residents must provide the HOA with a key to any garage or storage space by Friday. Like they were asking for my kidney, not just a key. And right under that, in cold print, failure to comply may result in fines and suspension of access rights. Yeah, that's when my coffee officially froze. Now, mind you, I'd only been living in this condo a couple months, paid for it out of my own pocket. First time I really felt like an adult escaping all that city noise for a slice of peace and quiet. Unit 106, ground level with a deeded garage. That thing was more than just a spot for my car. It was my little sanctuary. I'd spent 4 whole summers with my uncle rebuilding this old Triumph motorcycle. Every wrench and socket in there had its own home silhouettes traced behind each tool so I'd know if anything wandered off. Not to get all sentimental, but you mess with that garage, you mess with me. First thing I do, I text my neighbor Paul, shares a wall. Shares my attitude about HOA nonsense. You get this letter, I ask. Paul's reply, classic. Yeah, tossed it between a mattress coupon and some vote for me flyer. But he's already heard more, says it's some new emergency access rule because, get this, some genius stored paint last year and they had to cut a lock. Sure, that's unfortunate, but come on. I'm not some fire hazard. I follow the rules better than most. Plus, it's my deeded space, not a hallway, not a communal storage closet. It's mine, end of story. And see, I'm a finished carpenter. I treat keys the way I treat wood measure twice cut once. Don't hand them out to just anyone. That night, I pulled out the CC Plus and an R's and poured over every clause highlighter in one hand, just looking for the catch. But there wasn't one. The board didn't have the legal right to demand permanent keys to deeded property. So I did the reasonable thing, wrote a polite email to the property manager, Amy, said, hey, I'm not handing over my key, but I'll gladly provide my number if there's a real emergency. Even clarified garage is up to code, no gas cans, paint stored safe, everything legit. Amy wrote back, quick tone, sweet as honey, but with a little sting under it. The board has adopted Rule 9B requiring all residents to provide keys. Failure to comply will result in fines and suspension of use privileges. Now, let me tell you, Rule 9B did not exist when I bought the place, and you can't just whip up new rules to override deeded rights, especially not without a 28-day notice and comment period. So I pushed back firmer this time, said Rule 9B wasn't enforceable, probably not even legal. And if they had legal counsel saying otherwise, I'd like to see the receipts. You'd think that'd be the end, right? But no. 2 days later, I get a formal hearing notice slid under my door. Threat of a $250 penalty, garage privileges suspended, and just to rub it in, a photo of my garage door attached. Like I'm supposed to feel guilty for owning something they can't control. So what's a guy to do? I ironed a shirt, packed. My binder, marched down to the clubhouse like I was about to defend my dissertation. Amy sat at the table, looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. 3 board members lined up like they were auditioning for a reality show. Tamara, the president, with that DMV clerk glare. Carl, the treasurer guy, once yelled at a teenager for skateboarding. And Lisa, who looked like she regretted every decision that led her there. Tamara jumps right in. You've refused to comply with Rule 9B. Anything to say? I smile, couldn't help it. 4 things, actually, I say, and she leans back, smirking like she's settling in for some TV drama. First, my garage is deeded property. You can't demand a key to it any more than you can demand a key to my bedroom. Second, Rule 9B wasn't legally adopted. No 28-day notice, no public comment. Third, even if it had been, it'd be void because it contradicts state law and the CCLs. And fourth, if you try to interfere with my use of my garage, I'll seek injunctive relief, and I'll win. Carl scoffs. You're acting like we're breaking into your bedroom. It's for emergencies, floods, fires. I shrug, then call the fire department. They've got bolt cutters. So do I. Tamara snaps her folder shut. We'll deliberate. 3 minutes later, they come back $150, fine, garage use suspended until I hand over a key. If you open your garage, we'll call the police. I blink. How exactly do you plan to stop me from using my own garage? Tamara, icy as ever. If you open it, we call 911. Well, next morning I had things to do, so I opened my garage, rolled up the door, started the bike, and went about my business. Wasn't trying to make a scene, just needed a trip to the hardware store. But as soon as I rolled out, Tamara's voice echoed across the lot. Stop. You're in violation. I take off my helmet, tell her. You can't suspend a deed. She points her phone at me like a weapon, says, if you move that bike, I'm calling the police. I tell her, do what you think is right. She does. 5 minutes later, a patrol car rolls up. Officer steps out, calm, professional. We got a call about a dispute. Tamara pounces. He's trespassing. We suspended his privileges. The officer looks at me. Are you the owner? I hand him a copy of my grant deed CC plus Rs, all the relevant sections highlighted. He reads, then turns to Tamara. Ma'am, violating HOA rules isn't a criminal offense. You can't call 911 to remove someone from their own property unless there's a crime. She sputters. There are flammables. The officer glances at my garage, shrugs, looks cleaner than my own, then real gentle but real firm. Don't call 911 for civil disputes again. You'd think that'd be enough, but no. 2 days later, I find a shiny new hasp installed right next to my garage door padlock, hanging little note tape to it. This lock will be secured if you continue to use your garage without providing a key. They didn't lock it yet, but the message was clear. I took pictures, fired off another email. This time, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Told them straight, install hardware that interferes with my deeded property, you're trespassing. If you lock it, I'll remove it. Amy calls. Leaves a voicemail so tight you could snap it in half. Please refrain from threatening language. If you damage association property, you'll be liable. That night, Paul and I staged a little neighborhood theater. I opened my garage halfway, just enough that if they'd locked it, it would have crunched. Neighbors started watching from balconies. Sure enough, Tamara materializes from behind a car, voice rising. You do not have the right, I shot back. You do not control my garage. She calls 911, again, claims, I have dangerous chemicals, says I'm hostile. This time, fire inspector shows up with the same cop from last time. They check the whole place. Nothing out of order. Inspector even goes, cleanest garage I've seen all week. Tamara's still swinging. He's dangerous, but the inspector just shrugs. No, ma'am, he's just tidy. The cop gives her a look like he's already writing the report in his head. Call 911 one more time for this and you may be cited for false reporting. That was the last straw. I filed a formal demand for every document, insurance policy, legal basis, and the minutes for when Rule 9b was supposedly adopted. Guess what? No such meeting ever happened. No vote, no proposal, just poof, Rule 9b appears. So I filed for a temporary restraining order. I started a recall petition, 3 days enough signatures. In 5, we had double. At the next board meeting, I brought a little Bluetooth speaker, played the 911 audio for everyone. Neighbors looked horrified. The recall wasn't even close, Tamara and Carl gone. Lisa stayed, swore she'd never sit quietly again. The new board, first thing they rescind Rule 9b, void all fines, put in a real emergency entry policy that respects the law. And yeah, they even reported the false 911 calls. So now every morning I roll up that garage door, hear the latch click, and it sounds a whole lot like freedom, like home. But let me ask you, where's the line? When does safety become control? Should an HOA ever have a key to your private property, or did they cross it the minute they asked? I want to know, what would you have done? Drop your thoughts down below. And hey, if you believe nobody should ever be locked out of their own life, like and subscribe and tell me your story, I'm all ears.